Rec League Podcast. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family, tell your haters. Available on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Good Pods, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and Stitcher. At Rec League Podcast on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram. At Rec League Pod on Twitter. Episode 65, available now. Yo, whether you watching this from Facebook, Twitter, click the link in my Instagram or YouTube itself. What up, world? So, I just watched Batman The Long Halloween Part 2. It's the most recent DC animated movie. I was gonna say like straight to physical, but like maybe, I don't know. I don't follow digital media like that, man. So I don't know if you can rent it or anything right now, man. It stars the voices of Jensen Ackles, Billy Burke, Josh Duhamel, Naya Rivera, Katie Sackhoff, Fred Tatasciore. I'm sorry, Robert Atkin Downs. I'm already Titus Welliver. I'm already blanking on so many voices, man. Troy Baker, David Dastmalchian. He getting a lot of DC love over the past week or so. And it is directed by Chris Palmer, man. He directed obviously he directed The Long Halloween Part 1. And I believe he directed Superman Man of Tomorrow, off the top of my head. I forgot to look it up. If you've read the graphic novel, if you saw Part 1 of this movie, you obviously know, like, this is the continuation. This is Batman, Harvey Dent, and Lieutenant Gordon trying to figure out who the Holiday Killer is and stopping them. It picks up after the post-credit scene from Part 1, and casualties are had in the process. If you watched my review, you know I loved Part 1. I read the graphic novel. I thought it was a great translation. And this is a great continuation. You know, accurate. The animation looks good. The voice work plays. Again, like I'm pretty sure I said it in my review for Part 1. The way Jensen Ackles, like, I had no confidence, maybe is the word, that he'd be a good Bruce Wayne and or Batman, and he nails it. I love Naya Rivera as Catwoman. Catwoman of all Batman's roles, like, I love Catwoman's role in this movie, in this story. And there are so many more villains in this movie that weren't in Part 1, and like, I loved it. Because yes, I've read the graphic novel, like you saw it in my video for Part 1. It's sitting on the table on the other side of this phone I'm recording on, and but it's blurry, so it's like I'm rereading it, and like, it's great. Like, you see Harvey Dent and his descent. Like, you saw the posters, so obviously you know Two-Face is in this movie. You see his descent into madness. Like, Two-Face has always been my favorite Batman villain. Much love, much respect to the Joker. Everybody loves the Joker. But my top 3 has always been Two-Face, Joker, and Bane. I was thinking there's one villain, there's one big Batman villain that's not in this movie at all. And I just realized that Bane is another one. There are a lot of villains. This one's rated R. Part 1 was PG-13. This one's rated R. There's a little bit more foul language, and there's one sequence early on that I would say attributes to a lot of that R rating. Yeah, man, I love this. It's a great companion piece to finish the Long Halloween story, and this, I would say along with like Batman Year One, Under the Red Hood, The Dark Knight Returns, and even The Death of Superman, The Reign of the Superman a couple years ago, like, this is an amazing. This is one of the best, like, translations, graphic novel, comic book to movie. Because, like, we've seen, at least in my opinion, we've seen DC and Warner Brothers, like, mess this up. Like, they ruined Batman Hush. And this is so amazing. This is both of these movies are in like my top 10 all-time favorite DC original animated universe movies, whatever the technical terminology is. Like, Josh Duhamel was great. Like he hit the straightforward Harvey Dent, and then he nails that raspy Two-Face delivery. Like I said, I think in my my review for the first one, I said like Billy Burke was portraying Commissioner Gordon like kind of jokey, kind of like Commissioner Gordon in the Harley Quinn series. They draw back on that a little bit. Obviously, like the Long Halloween, it's more serious and more murders, but like he still has that look, and like I like this guy as Gordon. There is a post-credit scene in this one. See, I didn't know if Batman the Long Halloween as a long drawn out story. Eventually, sometime next year, they will release like a Blu-ray combo pack with both movies in one case, just like they did The Dark Knight Returns. They have the post-credit scene in this movie, and it's a real quick tag. So it has to set up whatever they're doing next. I hear that an Injustice movie is coming, which I also think should be like either 2 or 3 movies to draw out the story and get the best out of it. So I wonder if this post-credit scene is gonna be a part of that, like, because I thought Batman the Long Halloween was gonna be an individual story, but you know now they changed up their cover art and they have like the spines. It's either spelling out DC. It's either spelling out like DC Comics or it's spelling out DC Universe or something. So I wonder if the Injustice movie is going to be a part of this world and it still like keeps that design going on the spine of the Blu-ray, or I feel like they're going to do like it could be an individual singular movie, and the design will still be like that to fuck up the way that I arrange it. But that's just stuff that goes on in my head. Like I said, man, like these movies look like comic book come to life. They're not quite CG animation. They're not quite 2D animation. Like there's a fine balance. Like, and this looks just like, I guess, like a motion comic. Like I have Watchmen the motion comic, but that's like you're like looking at the page and you got voice actors. This doesn't quite look like 90s 2D animation. It looks very cool. Like that's the best way I can say it. I'll stop geeking out over this. If you saw part 1, I hope you check out part 2. If you're curious about checking out both of them, man, they're definitely worth the watch. Like, I don't know how many people on YouTube review these movies when they come out, but like I make it a point to set aside time because I'm always looking forward to these as much as anything that comes out in the theater. So with all that being said, man, in my opinion, I will say that Batman the Long Halloween Part 2 is dope as fuck. Like I said, like if you saw part 1, it carries the story perfect. Like I dug it, start to finish. Like the fallout from that post-credit scene in part 1, the way all that gets resolved, and just the way the movie flows, man, like it works. So have you seen Batman the Long Halloween Part 2? What you think about it? Positive, negative, somewhere in between? Let me know. I'm not sure if at the beginning of the video I said part 1 or part 2, but either way, I'm gonna leave it in. I've recently posted reviews for the Suicide Squad, for Jungle Cruise. Check those out, man. This upcoming weekend, I hope to watch Free Guy, Respect, and Don't Breathe 2. My theater doesn't have times yet on a Tuesday afternoon posted, and I'm getting nervous one of those movies won't come to my theater. And then the weekend after, I hope to watch and review The Protege and Reminiscence. We talked sitcoms on the most recent episode of the podcast. It hasn't even been up a day. Is like I said at the top, man, it's everywhere that you can check for a podcast, man, including YouTube. So like, subscribe, comment. Find me where you find me, man. Don't know where to find me. Watch these credits. Peace.